I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of The Take with your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. And we just got done watching the Washington Commanders go into Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. And this was a very one-sided game. I know you look at the score, 27-18. It looks like a close game, but if you actually watch this game, the Packers, they had control from the jump. Jordan Love, he was out here balling out, dude. Like, threw for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then this Packers defense, again, is showing why they're the best in the league. I know it's early, but, this is the second straight game the Packers didn't allow a touchdown until the fourth quarter. That is absolutely insane. And this secondary was all over the place. I mean, they had to deal with Deebo Samuel tonight, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown. I mean, Zach Ertz. This is not a bad offense whatsoever. And Jaden Daniels, they were getting pressure on him, making him escape the pocket and run. That's how you beat Washington. And the Packers just look different. I don't know what it is, but they just look different. And it's kind of crazy looking at the history of the Packers quarterbacks. Jordan Love turns 27 in November. Brett Favre, he won a Super Bowl when he was 27. Aaron Rodgers, he won a Super Bowl when he was 27. Even Bart Starr won a Super Bowl when he was 27. It just feels like, I hate to say it because I'm a Cowboys fan and the Packers have absolutely broken my heart, but it just feels like the Packers year. I don't know. I'm just getting the feeling. They go and get Micah Parsons this offseason. They bring him in to kind of add to this defense and make this defensive line just it could be the best in football right now. It's so dynamic. There's so many different players that can do different things, especially when Micah's getting double teamed. It's very hard to beat this team. Very hard. But I was genuinely surprised how they shut down this Commanders offense because they were struggling in this game to get the ball downfield. I mean, there was one touchdown that they scored in the fourth quarter. It was like an 11-play, 50-yard drive. Zach Ertz, made a great play after the catch. But, before those last 2 plays of that drive, the Commanders were on a 9-play, 19 yards. 9 plays, and they went 19 yards. Do you understand how insane that is? This is not a bad offense. The Lions were, a great offense, too. And they held them to 13 points. And then you're holding the Commanders to 18. I just don't. I really want people to sit here, and I know it's early, but this is the best defense in football. It's really looking like it. It's looking like a scary team. And the Packers, they got the Browns coming up, which I fully expect them to win that game. And then they got the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, which as a Cowboys fan, I'm not really looking forward to that. We'll talk about that game more as it comes forward. But before we get into more of this episode, make sure to subscribe, guys. Hit the like button, notification bell so you don't miss out on any episodes when it comes to The Take. And also share it. Make sure to share it so we can get these takes out here. And comment what you guys think of tonight's game. What are some things that really stood out to you about the Packers and Commanders? Because I'm genuinely thinking that this was probably the best matchup on paper for week 2, in my personal opinion. I know there's a couple other games that are good, Eagles-Chiefs is good, but this is probably the best game on paper in week 2. And we'll get into more of that in a little bit. But I kind of want to touch on just how the 49ers just can't catch a break. It's just insane. I mean, they keep getting hurt. They were banged up last year. McCaffrey missed basically over half the season. Now, first game of the year, Brock Purdy. He is out for a couple weeks. George Kittle. He is placed on IR. He's going to at least miss 4 weeks. So this 49ers team just can't seem to buy any luck. They don't seem to be able to do that. Purdy's expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks due to turf toe variant and a non-throwing shoulder injury he sustained. And then Kittle, that hamstring, you know how hamstring injuries are. They're very lingering when it comes to the season. But I think this is a very appropriate time for them to rest. But we'll kind of give you my take a little bit on that. But let's hear from Kyle Shanahan about all these injuries going on in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think it happened scrambling. I think when Love tackled him by the sideline, I believe it happened. It's a challenge. I mean, once you know what it is, I mean, you kind of get out of your head and move on and try to work with what you got. You know, I think it's harder when guys miss 4 games and they always got a chance, and then because you're always planning on it, and then it's different. So we know we don't have him for 4 weeks, and it'll be a challenge for everybody. I mean, you don't replace George in the run game, and you definitely don't replace him in the pass game. So it'll be a challenge for everybody.
Now, the friendly part about this, like, it's obviously not ideal to have, you know, your quarterback and your best receiver out for a significant amount of time. But, I mean, the schedule, you know, you got 4 games in 23 days for the 49ers at New Orleans versus Arizona at home, Jacksonville at home, at Los Angeles. So that 4-game stretch is not crazy hard. I mean, yes, you got the Cardinals that are probably a tough game. Jacksonville could be a tough game. Rams could be a tough game. Even the Saints, which we'll kind of talk about that game in a little bit. But after that, they have at Tampa versus Atlanta and at Houston. So, like, getting healthy for that stretch is probably more important than being healthy for this stretch. So maybe it's not make or break for the Niners, but it just sucks because they just paid Purdy. And George Kittle, you know, he's always battling injuries, but he's hurt immediately in this game, very early. And he was playing well. He looked really good in this game. But they come out with the win at Seattle, which that win looks very important now after they get all these injuries. It looks very important now. Every win's important, of course, but, like, getting that win in the division on the road, and now you have your roster getting hurt, your most significant piece is getting hurt, that doesn't hurt to get that win. I mean, in Brock Purdy, he got hurt during the game. You know, he fought, you know, stayed in, you know, made the throws to win the game. I credit Brock Purdy for that. He went 6 for 6, you know, 67 yards, including the 5-yard touchdown to Jake Tunges. But Mac Jones is now going to be the starter. And he had a knee injury during preseason, but I think he's going to be okay to go. But yeah, it definitely sucks. And also, Juwan Jennings is dealing with an injury, a left shoulder. They're saying he has a good chance to play this week. And then Ben Barch, their offensive lineman, he's day-to-day with a mild knee sprain. He's not stuff you want to see if you're 49ers fans. And then we'll kind of get into JB's picks, courtesy of DraftKings. Now, this is a pick, you know, 49ers Saints at New Orleans. I'm going plus 142 money line for the New Orleans Saints to win this game. I know you're probably thinking, like, why are you picking the Saints to win this game? Well, the Saints had opportunities to beat the Cardinals last week in week 1. I mean, they were, you know, 3rd down, 4th down. They had opportunities in the red zone to win the ball game, not win the ball game, to tie the ball game and give themselves a chance to win. And with the 49ers being banged up, I think the Saints could take advantage. I mean, Spencer Rattler didn't have a terrible game, threw for 214 yards. Kamara looked good. I mean, the Saints have talent. You know, you got Brandon Cooks. Chris Olave is really good. Rashid Shaheed is also good. I mean, there are some good pieces on this Saints offense that maybe they can upset the Niners, and it's at home. So, like, I think that could be a favorable matchup for the Niners, especially with a injury-riddled 49ers team. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners lost that game. I really wouldn't. Now let's go ahead, and I haven't, you know, I haven't really gotten to talk about this on this podcast. I've been talking about it on the Goobers channel, but the Dallas Cowboys, man, did we look good against Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, I think we looked really good. Dak looked good. We were able to, run the football. We were able to at least kind of hold Barkley, I guess we were able to contain him kind of. Like, he only rushed for 60 yards. 3.3 yards per carry, which is not bad for Saquon, who just ran for 2,000 yards last year. But, like, the thing about the Eagles to me in this game with the Cowboys is that there's just nothing you can do against Jalen Hurts. Like, it's just so difficult to game plan for him because what do? Do you put a spy on him? Do you not? Like, it's just a very tough thing to navigate for any football team. But I thought the Cowboys, they played well on defense. Now, what sucks? Deron Bland, I think he's going to miss a significant amount of time, 2 to 5 weeks. But that stinks because you just paid him. Like, God. And excuse me, if my voice seems a little off, I am a little bit under the weather. So I apologize. I got a little bit of a cold right now. It's kind of annoying. But, yeah, this is a weird game because in the first half, 41 points combined by both teams. And then in the second half, the Cowboys don't score, and the Eagles put the only points up in the second half, which was a field goal. So, the change in the tides, it went from an offensive shootout to a defensive game really quickly, which I was surprised about. But before the weather delay, the Cowboys were driving. They were driving down the field. They were in the red zone. And then Miles Sanders fumbles it. That was huge for the Dallas Cowboys because I think they were definitely going to score on that drive and they were going to have the lead, which would have been big time because now at that point, you can match Philadelphia point for point. And in the last podcast, we talked about that with Mike. Can the Cowboys do that? And I think they were on their way to being able to do that. But, the weather delay, I'm not blaming the weather delay because the Cowboys, they turn over the ball right before that too. But like the weather delay does have a factor a little bit. The Cowboys were in a rhythm on offense, and then you kind of just lose that. And same with Philly. They weren't able to get on a crazy rhythm on offense either. So it really changed the game, and it made these defenses have an ability to make plays and be able to keep these offenses afloat because they weren't really doing a whole much. But like, I just think when you look at this game, you can obviously blame CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he had 4 drops, had 110 yards, which is not bad, but he was really hard on himself after the game. And let's go ahead and hear from CeeDee, and then we'll give my thoughts about his performance and kind of that final drive and a couple of those drops as well that he did have against the Eagles.
Man, that's terrible. Honestly, I feel like, I can't point no fingers at nobody else, you know what I'm saying? And I take full accountability and everything else that come with it because, as for me as a player, I've prayed for moments like that, you know what I'm saying, and the ball to come my way. And obviously for me to not come up with it, bro, it stings a little bit. But I will tell you, if you think I'm not coming back any times harder than this, you got another thing coming.
Okay, I don't know what he means by that. But, he was on the jugs machine, catching balls. He really felt terrible about this, which, it's a team game. I'm not going to put the blame completely on him. You can't. But some of these catches, some of these passes that CD dropped, you can't do it. You can't drop them. There were many of them that were in his hands. Dak put him right on the money. Now, the last catch on 4th and 3, that was a tough catch. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's a play that only CeeDee Lamb can really make. And he just wasn't able to make it. And that's okay. And as a Cowboys fan, I really wasn't too upset about us losing this game. Because this game showed us 2 things. One, it showed us Dak Prescott is in the best shape of his life. He can move. He was accurate. He was running. He was stepping in there, throwing the ball on time and accurate with pressure. And 2, the Cowboys' rush defense is not bad. This defensive line is not bad. If they can play like that against the Eagles, I'm pretty sure we'll be fine against most of the teams in the NFL. Because the Eagles are the gold standard when it comes to running the football. Because you got 2 guys. It's like the Ravens. You got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. The Eagles, they've got Jalen Hurts and Saquon. It's like dealing with that. And if you lose by 4 points, that's not a bad loss. Now it's just trying to figure out how to adjust. You know, those plays, you know, that Sanders fumble. You know, the 4th and 3, not converting. Even the 3rd down play. You know, the Cowboys were just a couple plays away from winning this game. And that's encouraging going That's encouraging going forward into the rest of the season, in my opinion. I'm not really sitting here angry about the Cowboys. I think we looked a lot better than people thought we were going to look. And I know a lot of you guys at home are probably agreeing with me that, yeah, I thought the Cowboys were going to be bad, like going into the season. Like, I was not really confident in what Dallas could do. I even said, you know, it's going to be a massacre. And it was not. It genuinely blew me away. I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow. And then this is kind of recent news, actually, that kind of broke today. Jadeveon Clowney was actually visiting the Dallas Cowboys today. You know, that's a great pass rusher, number 1 pick, a couple drafts, like I think, I can't remember exactly how long ago he was drafted, but he's a good pass rusher, you know, veteran pass rusher. But what was weird is he didn't sign with the Cowboys, which apparently the Cowboys really wanted to sign him. I don't really know what the problem was, but that kind of stings a little bit because I would like a player like him because, you know, losing Micah Parsons, we could use another pass rusher. We could use some more speed on the outside. And maybe Clowney, I know he's a little bit older, but maybe Clowney could have been that answer for us. But I think right now we're searching for a pass rusher, and I'm encouraged by that. I like that we're trying to get better. We're not settling for, you know, not having an edge rusher. You know, I know we have Donovan Ezeraku. We have a solid front with Sam Williams as well there, and Kenny Clark, who showed up really good in the Eagles game. We have a lot of potential, but, you know, that's just weird. I don't really. The Cowboys don't really even know what it was, why they didn't sign. Was it money? Was it something else? Like, because they thought they had it on lock for him. They thought they had it on lock to get Jadeveon Clowney. They thought they had that one, which I thought they did too. That's kind of a surprising one to me. Now let's go to another surprising thing, because who would have thought Daniel Jones would have done what he did in week 1? To put this, just to make this magnitude, just to put this moment in perspective and the magnitude of this moment, Daniel Jones, he became the first Colts quarterback to throw for more than 250 yards and account for 3 touchdowns in an Indianapolis debut. Peyton Manning never did that. The Colts also scored on every single possession. And I was surprised about that, but Daniel Jones, not so much.
No, I don't think it was surprising to us. I think, we've had a lot of confidence based on our preparation and the work we've put in through training camp and kind of where we think we've grown and improved. You know, you always got to go out there and do it on the field and perform. So there's that element to it. But no, we weren't surprised. But like I said, now the challenge is to grow with it, build, and you know, continue to develop as a team, as an offense.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask this question, and let me know what you guys think. Was Daniel Jones that good, or were the Dolphins just that bad? The Colts beat him 33-8. Dolphins did not look good in this game, and we'll get into them a little bit more, but Daniel Jones threw 197 yards in the first half, 272 yards, 22 of 29 passing. No turnovers. He only took 1 sack. Not bad. Not bad. And he also, leads the Colts to their first 1-0 start since 2013. That was their first Week 1 win since 2013. That is insane, dude. And I don't mind Daniel Jones having this kind of success. I'm happy for him. I think it's great. I mean, he was getting all this flack in New York. Bad O-line. No one really considered that. He was just in a bad situation in New York. It's kind of hard to succeed with the Giants right now. And you go to Indianapolis, you win the starting job against Anthony Richardson, controversial. Now that decision pays off. Now you're looking like that's the guy. That's the guy that's starting for the entire year for the Colts. And who knows? Maybe the Colts found their franchise quarterback. Overreaction for sure. But you'll find out if Daniel Jones is potentially the guy. Because, Daniel Jones still has a lot of promise. He's won a playoff game. He's had success in the NFL. It's not like Daniel Jones has done absolutely nothing. The last 2 years may not have been great. I know we give him a lot of flack. I was even saying he was not a good player. But maybe, that's the thing with quarterbacks, is that if you put them in the right situation, maybe they can be good. Shane Steichen is not a bad coach. And the Colts don't have bad weapons. They don't. And the one weapon that really played well for the Colts, newly acquired in the draft, is the rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, out of Penn State. He had 76 yards, 7 catches. Not a bad performance for him. But, the team that did not have a good performance is the Dolphins. And I think there's a lot of question marks in Miami right now about the culture and what is going to happen with Tyreek Hill. I think it's frustrating having a quarterback like Tua who was making some weird throws. He was turning over the football. He took 3 sacks. He had a fumble, 2 interceptions. Only 43 yards of offense in the first half. I just don't know what the Dolphins do. You already paid Tua. You're kind of stuck with them. It's unfortunate, but also, the Dolphins knew what they had in Tua. A guy who really can't throw the ball down the field. He had, actually, if you look at the offensive line for the Dolphins, they actually weren't that bad. They were holding their blocks. They were giving Tua time. He just wasn't making the right play. And the Dolphins have weapons. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Is it time for those guys to maybe one out? Because, Tyreek Hill was frustrated on the sidelines. And this is a guy, before last season, when Tua got hurt and he was playing with a backup, Tyreek Hill had back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons with the Dolphins. And there's a lot of rumors going around, and maybe Tyreek Hill gets traded. And I don't blame him. If the Dolphins decide that they're not going to keep him around, or Tyreek Hill is on this losing streak with Miami, maybe he wants out. And I wouldn't blame him. There's a couple of teams that have been thrown around. I've seen the Cardinals be in discussions, and I've heard the Dolphins are rejecting calls right now. But a couple of teams, the Cardinals could really use him. Compliment him with Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Kyler Murray. That would be nasty. Broncos, get him Cortland Sutton. You got a second-year quarterback in Bo Nix. You have Sean Payton there. The Broncos made the playoffs. The Texans, looks like they could use some help on offense, but they need a little bit more help than that. Offensive line's key. The Raiders, maybe. They looked good with Geno Smith, throwing the ball down the field. I could see Geno Smith and Tyreek Hill working very good. And then the Steelers. Maybe get Aaron Rodgers another chance to win a Super Bowl. Those are just some teams to throw around. But I think the problem is, Tyreek Hill has a lot of issues going on off the field. It's do you want to take a gamble on a guy with all these off the field issues? He's got a domestic violence thing going on, and then He got arrested last year, which that's a whole nother situation, but he's had his problems off the field. That's just the main thing. And then people probably ask him, what about the Chiefs? Maybe he goes back to the Chiefs, but I don't know if the Chiefs trade for him because, they're kind of banged up in the receiving core. They're limited in the receiving core right now, but by week 6, I'm expecting them to be fully loaded. You'll get Rashee Rice back. Xavier Worthy will probably be healthy at some point. So I'm not really worried about the Chiefs. I don't really know if they'll make a trade for him. I just don't really see that happening. But I just think the Dolphins just didn't look like they were ready to play. But I also think the Colts were motivated and wanted to show everybody that they were a good team. And Jim Irsay, they were honoring him. They put him in the Ring of Honor, which of course you're going to. But that's a day maybe you can't beat the Colts that day. Just with the amount of emotions going on in that stadium, maybe you just don't beat them that day. But let me know in the comments, do you think that Daniel Jones performance was a fluke or he's going to continue that? Because the Colts, they play, I think it's the Broncos next week for week 2, which is a very interesting game. Yeah, they play the Broncos, and that's a -1.5 spread. And it's at Indy. And the Broncos kind of looked like they were struggling a little bit against the Titans. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts won that game. Just kind of a hot take there, but I think the Colts are a little bit better than people thought they were going to be. Kind of to close that out. Excuse me, I am battling a cold, so bear with me here. Please bear with me. This Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills game was the best game of week 1. Not even close. 41-40. The Bills get the victory somehow. They were down by 15 in this game. Down by 15 in the fourth quarter. This is a game that I thought the Ravens were going to win. They had control of it the entire time. It's just so unfortunate for Lamar Jackson. And I hate the hate that he's getting. Lamar Jackson's not clutch. First of all, Lamar Jackson did not lose the Ravens this game. You can, blame the defense for not holding their own at the end. And also you can blame Derrick Henry for fumbling the ball. Because if Derrick Henry doesn't fumble the ball, I think the Ravens win this game. Convincingly, if I might add. I think they win this game. Because Buffalo had to have a couple miracle plays go their way. And this Ravens defense, look, they just weren't able to hold Buffalo. For some reason, they just weren't. And a lot of things are going to get overshadowed now. Derrick Henry, he passed Jim Brown. There's so many things that are going to get overlooked. The Ravens had a great game. Both teams put up 40. The Ravens became the first NFL team to lose when scoring 40-plus points and rushing for 235-plus yards. That just is so unfortunate. And you can't blame Lamar Jackson for this game. I just don't think you can. I think it's blasphemous if you think it's like, oh, he wasn't clutch. Stop it. Just stop, bro. He didn't turn over the ball. He did what he needed to do in this game. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I'm kind of going into the Ravens side because they should have won this game, but they didn't. But maybe this is time. Okay, get this loss out of the way. We're not going to have this happen in the postseason because the Ravens, we know they're a great regular season team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be there. But figuring these things out and making sure to get through these bumps in the road is key. And having a loss like this early in the season, it's something they're going to be consistently thinking about. And I think this should motivate the Ravens to have the best record in the league and to go on an absolute tear, in my personal opinion. But, after the game, there's some shenanigans going on with Lamar Jackson, shoving a fan. The fan, shoved D-Hop, and he got shoved as well. there's a lot of shenanigans going on with that, and Lamar Jackson kind of talked about that. He's like, yo, chill, bro.
I believe everyone seen what happened. Don't get me wrong, I didn't try to, it just happened. Like, I got pushed. I'm like, what? I thought I was like outside. I wasn't even thinking about me being out there on the field, but my apologies to that whoever that was. I don't know who it was. My apologies to him. Like, just chill next time. Just, you can talk trash and stuff, but keep your hands to yourself, man. That's all I can say.
And we'll get into this Ravens and Bills game in a little bit in just a second. But we got breaking news, you guys. Austin Eckler, the Commanders believe that he has suffered a torn Achilles. Ugh. That's rough. That's rough. I hate that for him. 30 years old. And the injury was non-contact. Those are the worst. They believe he has a torn Achilles. Not good. The Commanders are very thin in the running back department. They just lost Brian Robinson. They traded him to the 49ers because Brian Robinson went out. That hurts the Commanders' Super Bowl chances a lot. That hurts it. Austin Eckler not being there, that hurts. It didn't look good. When you're watching the video, can't really see the pop. I think probably we'll know more information next week, or even probably tomorrow. I'm recording this, so the information will probably come out after I drop this. But they believe that he has a torn Achilles. That's what we're hearing from the Washington Commanders. That sucks. He was carted off the field. You can kind of just see it in his facial expression. Like, those are kind of injuries you just know. Like, when you see a guy reacting like that, it's like, yeah, you hate to see that. You hate to see that. But back to this Lamar Jackson, pushing and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. Like, why are you touching players, man? Like, I mean, just leave them alone. Like, but I don't know. Like, I'm kind of surprised that the NFL didn't really, fine him. But I'm also glad they didn't, because I think it would have been ridiculous if he fined Lamar Jackson for that. He's just backing up his player. D-Hop got pushed in the head like that right after a football game. Like, I mean, come on. But, like, the play of the week, bro. We got a good play of the week this week. Oh, man. This one was great. From this game, this is probably the best catch of week one. Not even close. Keon Coleman, Florida State Seminole alumni. Which we'll actually get into them a little bit later in this podcast. So stick around, Seminoles fans. But, yeah, Keon Coleman had quite a game and quite a catch. And let's go ahead and play this, and we'll kind of talk about this play and what it actually meant for this game.
Got it spread out. Only two Ravens pursuing, and Allen throws deflected and caught by Coleman on the tip for 6. And the Bills remain alive.
To have Keon Coleman come up with a big year. He is the guy they drafted a season ago. He's just going to keep competing here. Gets to the back line, stays focused on it. The ball's tipped around, and he makes a diving catch.
Keon Coleman had himself a night. 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. He looked like a number one receiver in that game. He was making spectacular catches. That vertical is insane. Watching him at Florida State, I kind of knew what kind of player he was and what the potential he had. But, like, man, that was a great catch. Ricocheted off a Bills receiver and literally went to Keon Coleman. That was the play that kept the Bills in the game, bro. That was do or die for the Bills. I'm pretty sure that was 4th down. So, like, that was the play that the Bills needed to have to win that game, and it gave them a chance. They were down. That gave them an 8-point deficit, and then Derrick Henry fumbles the ball. They get it back. Like, the emotions were just swaying. Like, the Bills overcame a 15-point fourth-quarter deficit for only the 3rd time in team history. Let that sink in. Wild. Josh Allen, this is why Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football, because when you need a score, when you need drives consecutively, that's the guy when he has his back against the wall, you need to make a play. He is the most clutch player on the field at that point. And I get what people are saying when the clutch gene. Josh Allen has got it. He's got the clutch gene. This is Mr. MVP. You know, he had it all in this game. There was Bills fans were leaving the game early, which is wild. Wild. I love the loyalty there. But like, this Bills team just kept fighting. They never gave up. They always were trying to win this game. They were never out of it. They were just kind of hanging around. You know, down 2 possessions, there was no going away for the Buffalo Bills. That's why I feel like the Bills should make it out of the AFC this year, because they're just so resilient. They've been through so much. They've learned so much. They've lost an AFC Championship game to the Chiefs a million times. They've lost to the Chiefs a million times in the playoffs. I just feel like this is the year for the Bills to come out of the AFC. It just has to be after watching that game. But Keon Coleman, he looked different. He looked different in this game. The catches he was making, back shoulder, flying up in the air, that's who they drafted. That's the guy they were looking for. And when he got drafted out of Florida State, I'm like thinking, he's got Stephon Diggs kind of potential. And you saw it in that game against the Ravens. You saw it. Now let's actually, perfect segue. You know, Keon Coleman, he went to Florida State. Let's talk about Florida State, man. Let's talk about it. 2-0 to start the season. You know, we beat East Texas A&M 77-3. We beat Alabama finally. Oh, I never thought I'd see the day. 31-17. Tommy Castellios with the, he said, you don't got Nick Saban? He can't save you? You can't stop me. And guess what? Alabama could not stop it. They couldn't do it. And Florida State is on a bye week, so I think this is a perfect time for me to kind of just talk about, you know, my expectations for Florida State this year, because I haven't really gotten to talk about it. And if first-time listeners, you guys, I am a Florida State fan. So this hits home with me. You know, after having a 2-win season, I really haven't even come on here and talked about it that much. After a 2-win season, us to beat Alabama, I mean, you could see the smile on my face. It just brings a genuine smile to my face. Like, Florida State fans know this kind of pain. We go undefeated. Alabama, they knock us out of a playoff spot. The next year, we win 2 games. The worst season probably in Florida State history. We come in, we are 2-0 to start the year. Statement win last week, 77-3. Tommy Castellios, he was 7 of 10. Okay? 4 of his passes, 4 of 7 of his completed passes were touchdowns. Just saying. This team is legit. I really think Florida State is really good. I like Deuce Robinson as well. What a stud. He had 173 yards, 2 touchdowns against East Texas A&M. Now, I know it's East Texas A&M. He also had that crazy one-hand catch. That's a special player. Florida State's ranked 10th in the polls, which I expect that to keep climbing up. But our next couple games, Kent State at home, at Virginia. I think we win both of those games. Then after that, we play versus Miami, who's number 5 right now as I'm recording this, at Doak Campbell Stadium. I think Florida State Seminoles win that game. And then I'm not worried about no Clemson. Clemson who? Cade Klubnik who? I'm not worried about no Dabo Swinney over in Clemson. Okay? I'm also not worried about no SMU either. Florida State has got the ACC. In my eyes, I think they're the best team in the ACC. I think Miami is beatable. I think we'll beat Miami. Miami against Notre Dame really didn't look all that great. Carson Beck threw off his back foot, that crazy catch. You hadn't seen that, go look that up on YouTube. One-handed catch, Miami versus Notre Dame. That was wild. Terrible throw by Carson Beck, but absolutely amazing catch. Amazing catch. But I think really Florida State has a path to go undefeated. I think we do have a path to go undefeated. And Tommy is the guy. I have full confidence that Tommy Castellanos will win the Heisman Trophy. He will win it. I have full confidence in him. I even saw Jordan Travis, who probably would have won Heisman Trophy if he didn't break his leg in 2023. I saw him say, yep, I think Tommy can win Heisman Trophy. And I agree with Jordan Travis. I think he can win it. I agree with you, Jordan Travis. I 1,000% agree with you on that. So, yeah, sign me up for some Jordan Travis, 2.0 here. Tommy looked like an NFL quarterback in these first couple weeks. He's looked like somebody that I would like the Cowboys to draft, personally. But I like the mentality of this Florida State team. And let's hear from our head coach, Mike Norvell, about the mentality going on in Tallahassee.
But, there's so much that happens throughout the course of a year. That you might have an impression of what you think a team is, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't. You're going to be the team that you're going to be, and that's the focus with our guys. And it was going into playing our last week opponent, and it's going to be the same thing going into bye week as the next week, and getting into conference play. I mean, it really has to be about us. And you're going to play really talented teams, and then sometimes you're going to play teams that you're more talented than. But if you don't go and you do what you're supposed to do or do what you can do, then the results, they're going to be whatever's been earned. And so that's kind of been our biggest message, and it's been our focus. But even as we look at things that could you'll be there in advance.
Also, I totally agree with everything Mike said there. It's a day-by-day process, week by week. Florida State's, I think they're really going to dive deep, get some rest in this bye week. It's kind of weird to have an early bye week like this, but I'll take it. But one thing I want to mention to kind of close this Florida State segment out is Gus Malzahn, who I really wasn't, crazy about the hire offensive coordinator when we got him from UCF. But, man, he's done a heck of a job the first 2 weeks of just bringing a different type of element to this offense that we haven't really had. We're using our speed. We're using, unpredictability when it comes to the play calling. I like it, personally. And Tommy and Gus Malzahn, they have a history together. They've been on the same football team together. Tommy has experience with Gus Malzahn. He was at UCF for a year. He's had that experience with him. So I like the dynamic there, because it's very rare in college football when you get a transfer like this and he has some kind of similarity, or not similarity. It's very rare to get a transfer quarterback in college football that has this familiarity with an offensive coordinator. It just is. And that's why I think Florida State is really ahead of the curve when it comes to the ACC, because there's just not a lot of teams like that in the ACC. Maybe Clemson, but SMU, but not like a transfer like this. Kevin Jennings, SMU, Cade Klubnik, Clemson. They have guys that have been in the program. Tommy has not been in the Florida State program. He's played 2 games as a Seminole, and he's already got a rapport with his offensive coordinator. So it makes the transition so much easier for the quarterback. And then it galvanizes the team, because now everybody's confident in what this guy can do. Tommy is a leader. That's why I believe in this Florida State team this year. And I genuinely believe that Florida State can win the national title this year. I really believe that. This is not, me being delusional. This is a realistic take right here. I think that'll happen. I think it could happen. I think we win the ACC. I think we go undefeated. I think we make it far in the college football playoff. I think we shut a lot of people up this year. And that win against Alabama is not a bad win. Nick Saban or not. Go ahead and use the Nick Saban excuse. Oh, he's not here. He's not there. I don't care. I don't care. We beat you guys. We dominated that football game. I was shocked because the first drive of the game against Alabama, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of not looking good. They kind of ran the ball down our throat. But then after that, it's like, yep, I think Florida State's got a chance. Tommy's making deep throws down the field. Our offense is explosive. That's what I like. And Tommy can run. He can throw in the pocket. He's a very dynamic quarterback. That's what I enjoy about it. I genuinely enjoy watching him, just as a fan. Like, even if he wasn't on Florida State, I would enjoy watching him. He's just a great player to watch. But yeah, I think I got high hopes for Florida State, as you could see. And then to kind of close this podcast out, we got a little boxing, man. Oh, man, we got Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford this Saturday, man. In Las Vegas, in Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. 65,000 are expected. Man, this is going to be a heck of a fight. And we don't really talk boxing a lot on this podcast, but like, believe me, when I see a good boxing fight, I'm going to talk about it. Like, we haven't really talked a lot about boxing this year. You know, Usyk fought Daniel Dubois this year. That was a good fight. We love to see, the best pound for pound guys fight. I mean, these are Terrence Crawford, number 3 pound for pound. Canelo Alvarez, he's number 8 pound for pound. These are two guys that can punch. Now, going into this fight, it's like, oh, Terrence Crawford's moving up to 168 pounds. Is he going to be able to have that same speed? Is he going to be able to really, I guess, have that power against Canelo to really put him out? And I think Terrence Crawford is a wild card for sure. I know this, but he's going to this fight very confident. And Canelo, he's talking about, don't run away from me, babe. Don't run away from me. Don't do it. Don't do it. I like the trash talk between these two guys. Let's go ahead and hear it.
Turkey, you need to put a small ring, the smaller ring in the...
Yeah. The only running that I'm going to be doing is running upside his head, and I can assure you that. Facts. And he got a big head, too.
He got a big head, too. Yeah. Canelo Alvarez, in his entire career as a professional boxer, has never been knocked down. Not once. Terrence Crawford has never lost. 41-0. If we're talking predictions here, this is hard. But I'm going to ride with Canelo Alvarez just because I think he's fought bigger guys. We saw him fight Bivol. He went 12 rounds with him. That's a big guy. Canelo has been moving up in weight, and he's been at 168 pounds. This is Terrence Crawford's first fight at 168 pounds. He's making a huge jump from 147 to this. This is the test. Now, if Terrence Crawford shocks the world, fine. I'm wrong. But I think Canelo is going to win this fight. Canelo has a chin. Canelo's legs are insane. I mean, he's doing training on horses, for crying out loud. Like, it's a crazy thing to think about. The strength that Canelo has. He's never been knocked down. He doesn't move. His legs are so strong. As a boxer, your legs are so important. And I just feel like as this fight goes, I think Canelo is going to slowly wear Crawford out. And I think Crawford's going to put up a good fight. I do. But I just think Canelo, his precision, his counterpunching, his patience, his power, his footwork is just going to be too much. Too much. Because Terrence Crawford has never fought a guy like Canelo. Never. Never. I mean, Terrence Crawford's best win is against Errol Spence. And that was an Errol Spence that was out of his prime. Post-car accident. Now, I'm sorry, but no. I think Canelo knocks him out in the 9th round. That's my prediction for this fight. But it's going to be a great fight. I mean, this is a fight you don't really get in boxing often. You know, guys who are the best in their weight classes coming together. Legacy fight. This is a fight that is going to have so much weight. Because if Crawford beats Canelo, he's in the GOAT conversation. But if Canelo beats Crawford, it's like, well, you know, the weight. I don't want to hear the excuses for Terrence Crawford if he loses this fight. I just don't. But I'm really excited for that fight. That's going to be a heck of a fight. I've been talking about that fight for months now. Ever since the fight was announced, I'm like, oh, man. Terrence Crawford, how is he going to look when he makes that weight? How's he going to do? And we're seeing it. We'll see it Saturday in Vegas. I'm gonna be tuned in, man. I'm gonna be tuned in. But I appreciate you guys, man. 900 subscribers. We are so close to 1,000, y'all. Keep it up, man. Keep it up. I really appreciate the support on this channel. I also apologize for not posting. You know, I'm just such a busy guy. You know, I'm running another YouTube channel with my boy Ashton. You know, having a great time with that. You know, I'm working. You know, I'm doing sports for the weekends here in Texas. You know, I'm covering college football. I'm covering high school football here in Texas. Understand, I'm not forgetting about y'all who listen to the take. Just know that right now. I'm not forgetting about y'all. Just know that whenever I'm going to plan on during the football season, I think the schedule for uploading for me is going to be, I'm going to do a pod after every Thursday night football game because that's just kind of how I want to do it. Because I can talk about a game and then I can kind of give my thoughts about the week that happened prior. And then we can kind of get in that cycle. Because Thursday night football just creeps up on you so fast. So I hope you guys understand that. But I appreciate like everything. The support, the love. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of October. Let's shoot for that. Before the end of October, let's try to get to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate everything you guys do. Hit the notification bell, share it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the fights, you know, the games. We got a lot of sports going on right now. I'm so glad football is back. I'm excited for this boxing fight. Now, I'm always tuned in for big boxing fights like this. You know, this is a great fight. Great fight. I'm also very happy that Max Kellerman is going to be calling this fight. I am ecstatic to see him as the color. That is going to be fun. I'm excited for that. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before we get out here. Like this video. Comment what you guys want to see in the future. And this is going to go ahead and do it for another episode of The Take with Jackson Burleson. And you guys have a great one. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my